Okay, thanks. So what we're going to talk about today is the changing times we're going through. Yes, I'm a herbalist, and was a herbalist talking about these kinds of things? Well, I'd literally have to say that I learned a long time ago that herbal medicine and herbalists in general are kind of the interface between modern society and nature. And because of that, I've worked with various things. I've worked with Aboriginal groups around the world, and I'm very interested in all kinds of prophecies and things like that. Several years ago, I found myself being a co-facilitator of a trip to the Yucatan with some people, kind of a spiritual journey, because we found that there's a bunch of chakra systems set up in the Yucatan. And so we took people through these journeys, and that got me really excited about it. So I started a series of courses. Those courses are now available online if anyone's interested in, on how the Mayan prophecy unfolds. And of course, it's an unfolding thing. It's changing as thing goes along. But a lot of people, when they look at this whole idea, they think it's just a Mayan prophecy. But it's not. What we can say is there's many, many cultures around the planet that look at this and think about it, and have for literally millennia. Latest count was there was at least 27 concurrent prophecies talking about this same period of time. Literally, you can find Tibetans, you can find Hopis, you can find Cherokees, you can find Zulu Indians, you can find Maoris. Various groups are looking at this thing as a philosophical change, epochic situation. They don't always come up with the same date, but coincidentally, an awful lot of them do. The question is, why would a Tibetan and a Mayan have the same prophecy? Well, we might find that some of it comes from a seed thought a very long period of time ago, but it also comes down to literally astronomical phenomena that are in the process of happening. When I say that, literally what the whole December 21st, 2012 phenomenon is around is literally a galactic alignment that happens. Us, the sun, and the center of the galaxy line up. Now, let's be realistic. The center of the galaxy is not a pinpoint. We've been lining up for at least 20 years already. So it's a process. I'm not saying there's something going to happen on a specific day. No, I'm not canceling my appointments for 2013. I think it's going to still happen. The Mayans never really said it was going to be the end of the world. They don't have the Hollywood point of view on it. They did say, though, at one point in time, it's the end of time. Oh my God, that means we don't have to worry. I'm late, can't wait, Mad Hatter. We might not have to do that kind of thing in a few years. That's literally what we're seeing. The whole Mayan prophecy centers around, of course, Mesoamerica. The Yucatan part of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and those areas were really where the Mayas lived. They came out of a seed group called the Olmecs that took over a larger part of Mexico. And interestingly enough, the statues they have of these people were 14 to 17 feet tall, and they all had very strong Negroid features. For all intents and purposes, they look like they came from Africa. Of course, there are authors out there that really feel that they did come from Africa in a whole mining expedition that happened in a long period of time. Some people say the Mayans come from the ETs. I mean, they come from off-planet. And some people think that all of a sudden they disappeared. Interestingly enough, at about 900 AD, all of a sudden, at least 80% of the Mayans just disappeared. There's no mass graves, no funeral pyres. We don't know what's happening. The official archaeological idea is they starved themselves to death and they died. But they would have probably had a little bit different process. Archaeologically, this is called the end of the Classic period. Some people feel that the reason they had flat-topped pyramids is literally the spaceships came down, they walked up, and they took off, and they went to another dimension, or whatever the case may be. Is that true? Well, I can officially tell you now it's not true. How can I say that? Well, as I was taking a group, and Jean Ann was with me on this group, she was one of the co-facilitators on that group, we were walking around, and the Mexican government now, on all their major sites, have big signs outside them in English saying that the Mayans had nothing to do with extraterrestrial people, and that they didn't disappear in a flash, and that they were just dumb aboriginals and they weren't smarter than we. Now, why would the Mexican government put signs up of this in English all over the place to be official? It makes you think they're hiding something, huh? Who can say? But the long and the short of it is, the Mayans themselves think that. A little while ago, the Mayan council, there's a Mayan council of 144 elders. The top Mayan council is Don Hernandez. He did a webinar a couple weeks ago. Can you imagine? This old 80-year-old Mayan person do a webinar across the world, and it literally crashed the internet system there, because there was literally over 7,500 people signed up for this webinar. But they did it. And he did say categorically that the Mayans came from the ETs and they work with it. And he's the Grand Poobah. So who are we going to trust? Him or the Mexican government that have been controlling them for a period of time? Anyway, I don't want to get off track here. I can't really say where they came from, how they came from, and it's not really that important. What is important is we're going through what their change is. Several years ago, I guess it would be about 2 years ago actually right now, I was working on a journey and we were going through various places. It was a long journey. I think it was 20 some odd days. And each day we were going through somewhere between 1 and 3 ceremonies a day. We were going to various sites. We started deep in the womb of the mother. We started in a little wee cave called Latun. Well, a little wee cave, huge amphitheaters. You've got rooms in there that are bigger than football stadiums and roofs that are 100 feet high. They believed, by the way, the local Mayans believed that the Christ came there after he was crucified and taught their people. And they have a whole thing around. They call him Quetzalcoatl or Cuculcán. And there's a whole group of shamans that have studied with him in this cave. It's the heart of the mother. And you go there to ask permission. Then we started this great big huge spiral, and we went around and went to various sites to be able to tune up our chakras. It's another way. Of course, this way here is very good for tuning up your chakras. My partner has another way of tuning up chakras. But this is the long and hard way. You go around to all these sacred sites. You do a ceremony in front of these various temples, and you'll be able to align them that way. I know that sounds like a mixed metaphor. The first time I did it, I says, wait a second. How does that make sense? Chakras come from India. And how did the Mayans have it? Well, interesting, when I started digging a little further, we found out the word Kundalini and the word chakra was in the Mayan language at least 1,000 years before it was in the East Indian languages, in the Vedas, in the Hindu scripts. And when you look in the Vedas, Rig Veda, where it talks about this, where do they say they got it from? They said they got it from Maya. Now, our interpretation is academic now of what the Hindus thought of Maya and what the Mayans think of Maya are different. But again, Don Hernandez the other day explained that of how there was 4 different strains of Maya that came down to the planet. But anyway, as we're going around this thing, we decided by the 17th day, we're doing 20 some odd days, by the 17th day we wanted to take a little bit of a break. Because we were doing all these tremendous ceremonies every day. And there was a couple of reasons. For the 17th day, we're going to take a break because 16th day we did Palinka, which is really representing the 7th chakra. And we actually got to a point at that stage that we thought that we'd come to a settled down point. In their system, you go beyond 7 chakras, by the way. Plus, Palinka is such a large site, we took a day to be there. But we didn't really, it wasn't enough time to really do the site of Palinka for sure. So we thought some people might want to go back and visit it the second day if they wanted to. And the real reason is the hotel we had in was really cool and had a really good spa. So we figured that people, it was a little bit of a vacation for some of these people. They want to hang out in the spa. Well, late on the 16th day, a little bit near the end, through our translator, this guy came up to me and said, I guess you guys are the group. I says, what? He says, well, we've traveled for 300 miles to get here to be able to do a ceremony tomorrow. And we're trying to figure out the group we're supposed to do the ceremony. They're supposed to show up here. And you guys look like you're the group. Would you guys like to join us in the ceremony tomorrow? And at least a little over half of us decided to go yes. Myself and Jean Ann being 2 of them that decided to do yes. And we go there and we come out and we're right in the main foyer of Palinka in the courtyard there. And even though we've been doing 2 to 3 ceremonies a day in these various things, it's against the law to do ceremonies in the Mayan ruins. They're afraid you're going to get some of those hummer sucking, just like moving with energy going through them.